Recently, people have been asking me what my favourite manga is, and I've got a fair amount, but at the very tippy top is the Depresso King, Goodnight Punpun. So allow me to indulge myself and tell you why I love it so much. By the end of this, maybe you'll know if it's worth giving a shot. I've read this series a number of times, and each time I do, it always leaves me with two very strong feelings. An overwhelming sense of emptiness and a profound sense of hope. Now, those two things don't really sound like they fit together, but just give me a second, all right? Let me cook. Goodnight Punpun is pure depression, and Punpun himself is sadness personified. Before reading this manga, I had never seen a single brother go through so many traumatic experiences. It's a tragic coming-of-age story filled with scenes of mental, physical, and emotional abuse of all kinds, with more trigger warnings than I can list. A lot of the story is hard-hitting, and on my first read-through, I even had to put it down a few times to recover. Reading Punpun is like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You're powerless to do anything while you watch someone's miserable life get worse and worse. Even when it seems like things might finally be turning around for the kid, that happiness is just snatched away like it was hopeless to begin with. And therein lies the dichotomy of Goodnight Punpun. Through all that hopelessness, hope is right there just bubbling under the surface. In my read-throughs, I always see Punpun's uncle as some kind of future reflection of Punpun himself. Because believe me, Uncle been through some shit too, to the point that it made him this cynical shell devoid of any hope at all. Throughout the story, you always get this little feeling like Punpun will just end up like his uncle, sad and alone. But as the events unfold for the worst, you're treated to little updates of the uncle's life as things really start turning around. There's this stark contrast between traumatic experiences and the hope of a better life that eventually leads to the story's climax, where those two themes collide. Bro, those final chapters of Goodnight Punpun utterly eviscerated me. They left me feeling sad, empty, and reflecting on my own life choices. But at the same time, I felt this strong sense of hope, like there'll always be something to believe in and something worth living for. And that's why, for me, Goodnight Punpun will always be one of the most important stories I've ever read.